The 16 Undeniable Laws of Communication by John Maxwell. But don't worry, we will learn it in simple, easy English. You will not only understand the ideas, you will feel them and start using them in your daily life. This book is not about fancy speeches or complicated techniques. It is about speaking in a way that touches people's hearts. It is about sharing your message clearly, kindly, and with confidence. John Maxwell says something that can change your whole idea about communication. He says, everyone has a message. You might think your English is not good enough, or your ideas are too small. But no, my friend, you already have something important inside you, a story, an experience, a thought, a dream, or even a lesson from your life that someone else needs to hear. Communication is not about being perfect, it is about being real. It is about making people understand what you truly feel. Every person you meet today is trying to say something. Some say it with confidence, some struggle to find words, but everyone wants to be understood. And that's where true communication begins. When you speak, you are not just using words, you are using energy. You are sending emotion. Your words can make people smile, give them hope, or inspire them to take action. But if people do not understand you, your message loses its power. It dies before it reaches their hearts. So, the first step in learning these laws is to accept that your message matters. Maybe your message is small, maybe it is personal, but it can still touch someone's life. The moment you believe that your voice is valuable, that is the moment your communication journey begins. Let me tell you a short story. A young girl once told John Maxwell that she wanted to speak like him. She said, "I want to inspire people like you do, but I have no story." John smiled and said, "You don't need my story. You already have yours." That sentence changed her life. She began sharing small experiences from her own world, how she learned to study, how she helped her friend, how she overcame fear. People started listening not because her English was perfect, but because her heart was honest. That is what happens when you share your message sincerely. People don't need you to be perfect, they just need you to be real. Maxwell reminds us that communication is not magic, it is a skill. That means anyone can learn it, even you, even me. It doesn't matter where you come from, how strong your accent is, or how nervous you feel when speaking. Every great speaker you admire today once stood exactly where you are. They were unsure, shy, and sometimes afraid. But they learned step by step, word by word, and they got better every day. Communication is like exercise for your voice and your confidence. The more you practice, the stronger you become. Now let's talk about what communication really means. It comes from the word commune, which means to share something deeply. Communication is not about showing how smart you are. It is about creating understanding between two hearts. When you talk to someone, don't think only about what you want to say. Think about how they will feel. That is what makes a message powerful. The goal is not just to be heard, but to be understood. Think about your favorite teachers, YouTubers, or storytellers. Why do you listen to them? It's not only because of their knowledge, it's because they connect. They make you feel seen, understood, and inspired. That is communication in its highest form, when your words reach not only the mind, but also the heart. So today, I want you to remember one big truth from Chapter 1. You have a message. No matter how simple or small it feels, your story can help someone. Maybe you will encourage a friend who wants to give up. Maybe you will teach a lesson that saves someone from repeating your mistake. Maybe your words will light up a day that feels dark for someone else. That is the real power of communication. It is not just about speaking English correctly, it is about sharing your truth with courage and kindness. In the next chapter, we will learn the law of credibility, which will teach you how to make people trust your words and believe your message. But before that, take a small challenge. Think of one message from your own life, something you truly believe in. Maybe it's about learning, kindness, or never giving up. Write it in English, say it aloud. Because your voice, my friend, is the first step to changing the world. Stay with me till the end of this series, and together we will learn all 16 laws that will make your communication powerful, simple, and unforgettable. Chapter 2: The Law of Credibility. In the last chapter, we talked about how everyone has a message. You have a story, a lesson, or an experience that can help someone. But here is the truth. People will not listen to your message unless they trust you, and that is exactly what the second law teaches us. It is called the law of credibility. Now, what does credibility mean? Credibility means that people believe in you. They trust your words because your life matches what you say. In simple words, credibility means being real, being honest, and living your message. When people trust you, your words have power. When they do not, your words lose meaning. John Maxwell says, "If people do not believe the messenger, they will not believe the message." That is why this law is so important. Let's take an example. Imagine someone says, "You should always be on time," but that same person is late every single day. Would you believe them? Probably not. Or imagine a teacher who says, "Be kind to everyone," but shouts at students all the time. You would listen, but you would not feel the message. This is what happens when words and actions do not match. People stop believing. Your communication becomes weak, no matter how good your grammar or vocabulary is. One of the most powerful examples of credibility is Mahatma Gandhi. A mother once brought her little son to Gandhi and said, "Please tell my child to stop eating sugar." Gandhi looked at the boy and said, "Come back after 2 weeks." The mother was confused but agreed. 2 weeks later, they returned. Gandhi looked at the boy again and said gently, "Now stop eating sugar." The mother asked, "Why didn't you say this 2 weeks ago?" Gandhi smiled and said, "Because 2 weeks ago, I was still eating sugar myself." That short story tells us everything about credibility. Gandhi wanted to live his message before sharing it. He knew that advice is only powerful when it comes from experience, not just from knowledge. People follow examples, not words. When you speak from your own truth, others feel it. That is credibility in action. So, what does this mean for you as an English learner and communicator? It means you must live what you say. If you tell others to practice speaking daily, then practice daily yourself. If you say confidence is important, then show it, even when you make mistakes. If you say kindness matters, then speak with kindness. Every time your actions match your words, your credibility grows. People begin to see you as someone they can trust, and trust is the foundation of powerful communication. Many English learners worry that people will not listen to them because their English is not perfect. But let me tell you a secret. People forgive small grammar mistakes. They forgive simple vocabulary, but they never forget how you make them feel. When they see your honesty, your passion, your real effort, they listen, they connect, they remember you. Let's take another example. Think of your favorite English YouTuber or teacher. Why do you follow them? Maybe their English is perfect, but that is not the only reason. You follow them because they sound honest. You can feel that they truly want to help you. That is credibility. It is invisible but powerful. It comes from being genuine, consistent, and true. Now here is a small exercise you can try today. Think of one message you often share with others. Maybe you tell your friends, "Don't give up." Ask yourself, "Do I live that message?" If the answer is yes, great, keep doing it. If not, start today. Let your life speak before your words do. When you live your message, people start to believe it without you even trying. Communication is not just about what you say, it is about who you are when you say it. When your words come from a place of truth, your accent, grammar, or fear does not matter anymore. People will listen because they feel your honesty. They will see that you are not pretending, you are sharing something real. So remember, the law of credibility is simple. Be believable yourself. If you want people to believe in your message, live it first. Let your actions prove your words. Speak less about what others should do and more from what you have done. When people see your message inside your life, they will trust you without hesitation. Chapter 3: The Law of Observation. The next important lesson in communication is the law of observation. This law teaches you to become a watcher, a learner, and a quiet student of how people speak and connect. Observation means watching carefully and learning from what you see. Every great communicator began as a great observer. Before they spoke powerfully, they listened deeply. Before they inspired others, they studied how others inspired them. John Maxwell says that one of the best ways to learn communication is to watch good communicators in action. Watch their eyes, their voice, their hands, their smiles, their pauses, and their energy. Every small detail teaches you something. When you observe, you are not just seeing what they say, but how they say it. You are learning how words can travel from one heart to another. You can learn from teachers, actors, leaders, YouTubers, storytellers, or even from your friends who tell stories naturally. When you watch them, ask yourself questions. What makes me want to listen to this person? Why do their words feel strong? Do they speak slowly and clearly? Do they smile while talking? Do they use examples from real life? Do they make eye contact? Each answer gives you a clue to improve your own communication. The goal is not to copy them exactly, but to learn their good habits and make them part of your own style. Think about a musician learning a new instrument. At first, they watch others play. They notice how the fingers move, how the sound changes with each touch, how emotion flows through the music. Then they start practicing, slowly and carefully. Communication is the same. You watch the masters, notice what works, and then practice until it becomes natural for you. When you observe, you start noticing things that most people ignore. You see how one pause can make a message powerful. You notice how a kind smile before speaking can make the listener relax. You understand how a soft tone can calm people while a strong tone can motivate them. These small things create big differences. Let me share a short story. A young man once told John Maxwell, "I want to be a great speaker, but I don't know where to start." John said, "Start by watching." The young man spent months attending events, listening to different speakers, and writing notes about what made each one unique. He noticed how one speaker used humor, another used silence, and another told touching personal stories. When he finally gave his own talk, people said it felt natural and real. The reason was simple: he had learned by observing. Even when you watch English-speaking movies or YouTube videos, you can practice observation. Don't just listen to the words. Look at how people express emotions with their faces and bodies. Notice how they use hand gestures to explain ideas. Observe how their voice changes when they are excited or serious. This helps you feel the rhythm of real English, not just the rules. Another good trick is to watch yourself. Record your short talks in English, then watch them carefully. Observe how you move, how your voice sounds, where you hesitate, and how your face looks. You will discover many things you can improve. Maybe you speak too fast, or maybe you don't smile enough. When you see yourself clearly, you can change easily. That is self-observation, and it is one of the most powerful forms of learning. Observation builds awareness, and awareness creates growth. When you become aware of how people communicate, you slowly begin to shape your own unique style. You learn to use silence where it matters, to move your hands when explaining something, and to express your feelings naturally instead of hiding them. So remember, the law of observation says this: watch great communicators and learn from them. Do not copy their personality, copy their discipline. Do not steal their voice, build your own through their lessons. Every time you listen to someone speak, tell yourself, "This is my classroom." Every conversation, every video, every teacher, every moment becomes your opportunity to learn. In the next chapter, we will explore the law of connection, where you will discover how to touch people's hearts with your words and make your message unforgettable. But for now, Keep your eyes open, your mind curious, and your heart ready to learn from everyone around you. Chapter 4: The Law of Connection. The law of connection teaches one of the most beautiful truths in communication. People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. Connection means creating a bond, a feeling of closeness between you and the listener. It means making people feel understood, respected, and valued. When you connect, your message no longer travels only through words, it travels through emotion. And that is what makes people truly listen. Think about a time when you listened to someone who really understood you. Maybe they didn't have perfect English, maybe they spoke slowly, but you still felt connected. You felt that they were speaking not just to you, but for you. That is the secret of connection. It is not about showing your knowledge or skills, it is about showing your heart. When you speak to someone, stop thinking, "What should I say?" and start asking, "What does this person need to hear?" That small change makes a huge difference. If you talk to students, speak about dreams, learning, and the fear of mistakes. If you talk to parents, speak about love, patience, and hope. If you talk to your friends, speak about honesty, care, and encouragement. The moment people feel that you understand their world, they open their hearts to you. John Maxwell says that communication becomes powerful only when you care about the listener more than your own performance. Great communicators don't speak at people, they speak with people. They don't try to impress, they try to express. They make people feel safe, not judged. That is what creates connection. Let's take an example. A teacher can teach the same lesson in two ways. The first teacher says, "Pay attention, this topic is very important." The second teacher says, "I know this part is difficult, but I will explain it slowly until everyone understands." The second one connects, because the students feel that the teacher cares. The same thing happens in daily life. People remember kindness more than intelligence. Connection also depends on your attitude. When you speak, your body language must say, "I am here with you." Look into the person's eyes, smile softly, listen carefully when they talk. These small actions build bridges. Communication is not a performance, it is a relationship. You are not trying to win, you are trying to understand. Sometimes people listen but don't connect because they are thinking only about themselves. They speak without empathy, they answer without listening. They try to be interesting instead of being interested. Real connection happens when you forget yourself and focus on others. When you make people feel seen, they will always remember you. Think about your favorite teacher or mentor. You didn't love them just because they explained well. You loved them because they cared about you, they believed in you, and they spoke to you like a friend. That emotional bond made you want to learn more. Connection always multiplies learning. Here is a short story. A young speaker once gave a long speech full of facts and numbers. When he finished, nobody clapped. He felt sad and went to his mentor for advice. The mentor said, "You spoke to their minds, but not to their hearts. Facts tell, but feelings sell." The next time, the young speaker told a story about his own struggle and what he learned from it. People cried, laughed, and clapped. He didn't change his topic, he changed his focus. That is connection. If you want to improve your English communication, remember this law every time you speak. Don't worry about sounding perfect, focus on being present. Use simple words, look at your listener, smile, and speak with kindness. Your goal is not to show your English, your goal is to touch a heart. That is how language becomes powerful. The law of connection reminds us that behind every listener, there is a person with hopes, fears, dreams, and stories. When you speak, speak to that person. Not to their ears, but to their soul. Make them feel that you understand them, and they will remember your message forever. Chapter 5: The Law of Anticipation. The law of anticipation is about creating excitement before you speak. It is the art of making people curious, interested, and eager to know what comes next. When people feel excited about your words, they listen with more focus. Anticipation is what keeps their attention alive from the beginning to the end. Think about your favorite movie trailer. It doesn't show you the whole film, it shows small parts, short moments, enough to make you say, "I want to see this." That feeling is anticipation. It makes you wait for something good. Great communicators do the same. They give listeners small promises, small hints that something special is coming, and that curiosity keeps everyone awake. When you speak in English, you can use anticipation easily. You can say something like, "Today I will share one sentence that changed my life." Or, "At the end of this talk, you will understand something you never noticed before." When your listener hears that, their mind says, "What is it? I want to know." That is how you make people pay attention naturally. You don't need to shout or speak fast, you just need to create curiosity. But anticipation is not about tricking people. It is about respecting their time and interest. If you make them wait, give them something worth waiting for. Never promise something great and then give something small. When you say, "I will tell you a story that changed everything," make sure your story really gives a strong lesson or emotion. People feel disappointed when curiosity is broken, so build interest carefully and deliver truthfully. Let's look at an example. A teacher started her class one day by saying, "At the end of today's lesson, you will know the secret to remembering every new English word you learn." All the students sat up straight. They wanted to know the secret. The teacher then slowly taught them about visualization, repetition, and emotion in learning. She built curiosity, then gave them something real. At the end, they smiled because the lesson was worth the wait. That is the power of anticipation done right. Anticipation can also be created through questions. You can ask your audience, "Have you ever felt nervous before speaking English?" Or, "Do you know what one habit makes fluent speakers different?" Questions make people think. Their minds become active. They don't just listen, they start searching for the answer with you. This keeps their attention strong from the start. In real conversations, anticipation also helps you sound confident. When you say something like, "Let me tell you what really helped me improve my English," you sound sure of yourself. It makes the listener ready to hear your advice. The small pause before you explain creates a rhythm. That rhythm pulls people into your words like a story. John Maxwell says anticipation makes communication alive. It turns a talk into an experience. Without anticipation, your message feels flat and predictable. But when people expect something valuable, every word feels alive. They sit forward, they listen closer, they care more. That is when your message starts to live inside their minds. Even in daily life, you can use this law. If you want your friend to listen to your advice, don't start directly. Instead of saying, "You should try this method," say, "You won't believe what helped me last time." The second one makes them curious. They will automatically ask, "What helped you?" Now they are listening with interest. You have their attention before you even explain. Great communicators understand timing. They know when to hold the moment, when to pause, and when to release information. Silence can also create anticipation. When you pause just before an important sentence, people lean in, their hearts and minds are waiting. Then, when you finally speak, your words hit deeper. So remember, the law of anticipation is about giving people a reason to stay with you. Create curiosity, but never cheat it. Give your listeners something worth waiting for. Build small promises and fulfill them beautifully. Speak with energy, give clear hints, and let your pauses build magic. Chapter 6: The Law of Simplicity. The law of simplicity teaches that powerful communication is not about using difficult words or long explanations. It is about being clear, kind, and easy to understand. Many people believe that big words make them sound smart, but the truth is that simple words make them sound strong. When your message is simple, people understand quickly and remember for a long time. John Maxwell says that clarity is kindness. When you make your ideas simple, you are helping people, not showing off. Your goal is not to impress the listener with your vocabulary, but to express your thoughts in a way that connects. The best communicators in the world speak in a language that a child can understand. Because the goal of communication is not to confuse, it is to connect. Think about how often we hear people use complicated words like utilize instead of use or commence instead of start. These words are not wrong, but they create distance. They make the listener work harder to understand. Simple language, on the other hand, makes your message warm and human. It brings you closer to your listener. There is a story about a wise teacher who was once asked, "How do you explain difficult ideas to people?" The teacher smiled and said, "I first understand it so clearly that I can explain it to a child." That is the secret. When you truly understand something, you can explain it simply. Complicated speech usually means unclear thinking. Simple speech means a clear mind. When you speak English, simplicity gives you confidence. You don't need to search for big words. You can focus on meaning instead of perfection. Use short sentences and pause often. Say one idea at a time. For example, instead of saying, "The individual in question has demonstrated exceptional linguistic proficiency," just say, "She speaks English very well." The message is the same, but the second one feels friendly and natural. Simplicity also helps you build trust. People listen more carefully when they do not feel lost in your words. They feel safe because they can follow your thoughts easily. That comfort creates connection. Many learners think they need fancy words to sound fluent, but true fluency is not about difficult vocabulary. It is about natural rhythm and clear meaning. Look at how good storytellers speak. They don't fill their stories with complicated phrases, they use everyday words, but they use them with emotion. When they say, "He was tired," you can feel it. When they say, "She smiled," you can see it. That is what simplicity does. It paints pictures that stay in the heart. Simplicity also means avoiding extra noise. Don't use too many words when one is enough. If you can say something in 5 words, don't use 10. Your message becomes stronger when it is clean and focused. Think of it like music. A clear melody is beautiful even without hundreds of instruments. Your words should have the same purity. When you learn new English words, learn their meaning and when to use them. But never forget that the best words are often the simplest ones. The word love is small, but it is more powerful than 1,000 fancy expressions. The word help is short, but it can change a life. Simple words carry deep emotion. Here is a small exercise for you. Take a short message you want to say in English, maybe something like, "I want to thank you for your continuous effort and dedication." Now, make it simple. "Thank you for working hard." The feeling is still strong, maybe even stronger, because it is pure and clear. That is the beauty of simplicity. Remember, every great communicator learns how to remove what is unnecessary. They focus on the heart of the message. They know that people don't remember everything you say, but they remember how easily you made them understand. That ease comes from simple language, slow rhythm, and clear thoughts. So the law of simplicity tells us this. Keep your message clean, keep your heart honest, and speak like you truly want to be understood. People will respect your clarity far more than your complexity. Chapter 7: The Law of Inclusion. The law of inclusion reminds us that great communication is not about one person talking and others only listening. It is about creating a feeling of togetherness. Inclusion means bringing everyone into your message so that they feel they are part of it. When people feel included, they listen more, they care more, and they remember your words longer. John Maxwell says that real communication is not about me, it is about we. When you speak, if you only talk about yourself, your message becomes small. But when you include others, your message grows bigger. The word we has more power than the word I. For example, instead of saying, "I know how to do this," say, "Let's learn this together." That small change makes the listener feel important. It builds trust and respect. Inclusion is not only about words, it is also about attitude. It means making others feel welcome, no matter who they are or how much they know. When you speak, think about the people listening. Are you making them feel part of the conversation, or are you making them feel left out? The best communicators never make people feel small. They lift them up, they encourage them, and they remind them that every person matters. Think of your favorite teacher. Why did you like them so much? Because they didn't just teach, they involved you. They asked questions, they listened to your answers, they smiled when you tried, they made you feel like your voice was also important. That is what inclusion does. It turns communication into teamwork. Here is a small example. Imagine you are explaining something in English to your friend. You can say, "I will teach you this." Or you can say, "Let's learn this together." The second one feels softer, kinder, and more motivating. It doesn't make you sound higher or smarter, it makes you sound human. People respond better when they feel equal. Inclusion also means using examples that everyone can relate to. When you tell a story, don't choose something that only fits one type of person. Choose something universal. Talk about everyday struggles, family, dreams, or learning. These are things everyone understands. When your examples connect to people's real lives, they naturally feel part of your story. Sometimes, people make the mistake of speaking in a way that separates them from the audience. They use difficult language, big titles, or personal achievements to sound powerful. But that actually creates distance. The more you try to look perfect, the less people feel connected to you. When you admit your mistakes, share your struggles, and speak simply, people feel close. They feel you are one of them. That closeness is inclusion in its truest form. In daily English practice, inclusion helps you become a better speaker too. When you talk to someone, don't just talk at them, ask questions. Let them share their thoughts. Say things like, "What do you think?" Or, "Have you ever felt this way?" These small questions make communication interactive. They turn your talk into a conversation, not a lecture. Inclusion also shows respect. When people feel respected, they listen with open hearts. They don't just hear your words, they trust your intentions. That trust is the foundation of every strong message. If you make others feel excluded, your words may sound strong, but they will not stay in the heart. But if you make them feel included, even simple sentences can create deep impact. There is a story about a famous speaker who once asked the audience to repeat a line together. He said, "Say it with me. We can do better." The moment everyone repeated it, the whole room felt united. People smiled, clapped, and believed the message more deeply because they were part of it. That is the power of inclusion. It transforms listeners into participants. The law of inclusion tells us that words like we, our, and us can turn any speech into a shared journey. Every time you speak English, try to make your listener part of what you say. Don't speak from above or from far away. Speak beside them, as a friend, a partner, or a fellow learner. So remember, the law of inclusion is simple. Bring people in, don't leave them out. Speak to hearts, not from heights. When your message includes others, it grows bigger, warmer, and more meaningful. In the next chapter, you will explore the law of story, one of the most emotional and powerful tools in communication, where words turn into feelings and ideas come alive through stories. So remember, the law of inclusion is simple. Bring people in, don't leave them out. Speak to hearts, not from heights. When your message includes others, it becomes warmer, stronger, and unforgettable.